Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Briggs coming to you live. Well, it's a recording, so it's not live. But I'm coming to you from an undisclosed location in the North Sea. Today's lesson is the first lesson in our brand new unit on comparing and scaling. This is going to be lesson 1.1. It's an introductory lesson. It should be a lot of fun. And it starts out with page 5 and 6, problems A through E. Then we're going to be doing our ACE problems 1 through 3, 11 through 16, and 34. And our learning target for this lesson is that I understand how relationships between values can be viewed in different ways. Okay. So let's start in our notes, ladies and gentlemen. Our notes are this. Ratios, decimals, and fraction is our heading. We want to make sure we put lesson 1.1 notes at the top of our page. Our page numbers 5 through 6, our name, the date, and the crew. And we want to put down our very first and probably most important vocab word for this whole unit, which is ratio. And a ratio is a relationship between two numbers of the same kind. Okay? We don't compare apples to oranges. We compare two things that are similar to each other and how they are related. So for instance, if I'm making biscuits, the ratio of flour to water is 3 to 2. For every 3 cups of flour, I want 2 cups of water. Or, the classic one, hot dogs to hot dog buns is 10 to 8. Why is that? Why do you get hot dogs in packages of 10 and hot dog buns in packages of 8? I have no idea. But we say them, we use a colon to separate these two numbers, as you can see. But we say them as 3 to 2 or 10 to 8 when we're describing them. Okay? Pause this if you need to, but we're going to move on. All right. So here we have a couple of different ways that we can express these relationships in multiple ways. So for instance, I've got a ratio here of 2 to 5. How do I express that as a fraction? Well, I express that as a fraction as putting it as 2 over 5, or any other fraction that would be equivalent. So then, I need to make it into a decimal. Well, how do I make a fraction into a decimal? Easy. You take the numerator, divide it by the denominator, and then multiply by 100. Oh, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Just take the numerator, divide it by the denominator. And in this case, we would get 0.4. Okay? But now, if I want to make that into a percent, you take that decimal and multiply it by 100. And you get 40%. So these are all different ways I can describe this. If I have a 2 to 5 ratio, that means it's a fraction of 2/5, a 0.4 is a decimal, or 40% as a percent. They're all equally valid ways to describe the same relationship. Now let's say I have a ratio of 100 to 150. Can I find an equivalent fraction that would be smaller? Well, I can divide both sides by 10, and I get 10 to 15. It's still equivalent. And if I can make it even smaller, I can get 2 to 3. And I can make that into several fractions that are equivalent, but I'll stick with 2 to 3. And if I want to make that into a decimal, I would get 0.6666 repeating. And if I multiply the whole thing by 100, I would get 66.6%. If you wanted to round up, it would be 66.7% or even 67%. But let's just, for the sake of argument, pretend it's going to be around 66%. So as you can see, we can express the same relationship of two numbers or two values in very much the same way. And we toss around, ratios all the time. Miles per hour, minutes per hour. You know, we use ratios and equivalencies a lot, inches to feet. And this whole unit is basically taking one unit and converting it into another unit, or one measure, one ratio, and using it to find another ratio. And we start that with our practice for today, our coursework. And your practice starts on page 5 and 6, A through E, and then your ACE problems 1 through 3, 11 through 16, and then 34. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have fun.